Hi guys, it's Nikki here, and today I am going to attempt to show you how to make an ordinary loaf of white bread. Yeah. You will need for this strong white bread flour and easy bake dried yeast. I like the Bell Bake version because they come in the 7-gram little sachets, so you don't have to measure them out. A lot easier. You will also need some soft butter, some salt, sugar, and also some warm water. And I like to use 1 part of boiling water straight from the kettle and 1 part cold water from the tap. That's the word. So I will just measure out my water. I'll just make sure my kettle's still hot. Yes, it is. You need 300 grams of the water, so that would be 100 millilitres, of hot water and 200 millilitres of the cold water. There we go, that's my water ready as well. Right, oh, excuse me. Right, first of all, I've got 500 grams of the strong white flour in my bowl. To this, I am going to add, I'm so organised today, it's unbelievable. Normally, I've got everything ready on the side and ready to go, but today, it's not going to happen. Right, teaspoon, you are going to add 1.5 teaspoons of normal grain salt, not sea salt, and make sure they're level teaspoons, not heaped teaspoons, because you don't want your bread to be too salty. And then you need a teaspoon of white sugar. Now, due to the fact that I drink coffee and I use brown sugar all the time for my coffee, or demerara sugar, what I like to use is 1 sachet of the sugar that you can find in coffee shops and places like that. So add that one. That's 1 teaspoon of sugar. I will put all the ingredients in the comments bar down below, in the description bar down below, so you know. So now we've got the flour, salt in the mixing bowl, and the sugar. We then add the yeast. She says. And goes the yeast, and then we mix it thoroughly, rubbing together just to make sure. I like to use a knife rather than my fingers, because obviously having long nails, I think even if I was to wear protective gloves, I still wouldn't feel right, if that makes sense. Let's just mix that together. Make sure that the yeast is fully incorporated into the flour, so that you've got an even spread all around. Then you need, is it 15 grams of soft butter? Now just give me 1 second whilst I weigh out 15 grams of soft butter. Now, 15 grams of soft butter. I find it helps to put it on the foil lid from the butter tub rather than mess up the weighing scale lids. So that's that bit, so that can now go. Now I need that in a minute because I line my tin with it. So now what we do is we have to rub all of this together to make a soft dough. Don't worry, I will be putting the liquid in a minute, don't worry. And then in goes the liquid. Add this slowly, bit by bit, rather than all in one great big lump. And it will slowly but surely come together as a dough that everyone would recognise as a dough. Hopefully. mixing together slowly. Add the last of the water. You may find you need to add a bit more water depending on your dough. It's totally up to you how you feel. I normally find this ratio works, so I can start to feel it's really pulling on my arm now, so I know we are getting there. Right, now comes the fun part. Let me move these aside. Now making sure that your surface is clean, you want to lightly flour your surface. Now I know that's a lot of flour, but what I like to do is I like to push it to the side so that I've always got some there. Flour your hands as well. Pop your dough out and then start to knead your dough. Every so often just do this with your hands and it will stop them from sticking. Honestly, it does work. Now the reason you're kneading the dough is so that it can, you're basically stretching the flour out, and the more you stretch it, the more air pockets and air bubbles you'll get into your bread. So you want to knead this for about 10 minutes. As you can see, I'm not going anywhere near it with my nails, so I am sticking to almost health and safety. Oh dear, look at that. So I'm going to knead this for 10 minutes and I'll come back to you. Okay guys, once you have kneaded your dough for a good 10 minutes, if you feel like kneading it for more than 10 minutes, then go ahead and knead it for more than 10 minutes. That is totally up to you. As you see, I'm just literally pulling it round and pushing my knuckles into it. That's how I knead my bread anyway. Watch this first loaf that I do on YouTube not be a one that rises. That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Okay. Take your loaf tin. I like to take a little bit of flour, sometimes just the flour that's left on my work surface. You know that extra flour that I put down? And just line the tray with it. There is a reason for this. It will help your bread to rise better when in the baking process, because the flour will help it not to stick to the edges. So, like so. I love flour. Just reminds me of when my mum was when I was little with my mum. So there we go. Now you just place your bread in said loaf tin, and we are going to cover this with some cling film. And we're going to leave it to rise in a warm place for roughly half an hour to 45 minutes. I'm going to hope if I remember where I kept my cling wrap. Now don't cover it too tightly with the cling wrap, because obviously it is going to rise, hopefully. Do you know, I can never find the end on cling wrap. It always evades me. Anybody else have this problem? There we go. Now I'm actually going to leave my bread right next to my slow cooker, because I've got a sausage casserole cooking away in there and it's a nice warm place. So that's going to work really good for me. So I'm going to place this just here, right next to Mr. Slow Cooker, and wait for that to rise. in about half an hour's time we'll come back to it. So I'll see you in 30 minutes. Hi guys, we're back again, and it has been 35 minutes later. This has been sat next to my slow cooker, which is a warm place, and as you can see has doubled in size. So we're going to take the cling film off now because that is no longer needed. There we go, discarded that. And I'll just show you, you can see it's very spongy and it will eventually fill the whole tin. So we now place this in a preheated oven at gas mark 8, which I believe, I'll just check my directions, I think it's 250 degrees centigrade. No, it's 230 degrees and gas mark 8, and you want to do that for about 15 minutes. But what I like to do is already in the bottom of my oven I have got an oven-proof dish. I'll bring you round so I can show you. In the bottom of my oven, let's open it up. See just there I have an oven-proof dish. Now what I'm going to do with that is just pour in some water, like so that when I put my bread in, that moisture from the water will evaporate, obviously, and there's my bread there. I'm going to turn it actually like this because I do have another loaf I'm putting in a minute. I'm doing a rye bread loaf as well. So there is the bread sat in there, there is the water, and you want to be on gas mark 8 for approximately 15 minutes. After you've had it on gas mark 8 for your 15 minutes, you then want to turn it down to gas mark 6 and cook it then for a further 20 minutes. Check it after 15 just in case, but it should be sort of 20-30 minutes. If it still doesn't look as if it's risen, you can leave it for a little bit longer, that's not a problem. So we shall come back in half an hour's time and see how our bread is getting on. See you in a minute. Hi guys, well it is 25 minutes later, and as you can see I've taken my bread out of the oven and looks like this. It has risen really well. Give it a shake, you'll see it is loose in the dish. Due to the fact I do not own a cooling rack, I'm actually using the pizza dish turned upside down. Works just as well. So you need to be very careful, don't burn your hands. Tip out your bread, gently does it, like so. Just pop that to one side. And if you tap on the bottom of your bread, you should get a hollow sound. But there we have it. Leave that to cool. I don't leave it to cool for very long, I have to admit. I will be slicing into this in about 10 minutes time when it's still lukewarm, and spreading some garlic butter over the top of it because that's my penchant. So there we go, that is how to make a white loaf bread. And if you're just curious, in here I do have rye bread waiting to go in the oven, but it takes a lot longer for that one to rise. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, my first YouTube cooking cooking video. I hope you liked this and found it informative. If you would like me to do any more cooking videos, put it in the comments bar down below what you'd like to see, and let me know what you think of my loaf of bread. So there we go, thank you ever so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe as always, and come back to see me soon. I'm now going to go and have some garlic bread on warm sliced toast.